ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਫਰਾਈਡੇ ਨਵੰਬਰ 14th ਨਾਰਥ ਵਿਊ ਗੋਲਫ ਕੋਰਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ ਹਾਂ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਕਿ ਸਰੀ ਵਾਈਟ ਰੌਕ ਬੋਰਡ ਆਫ ਟ੍ਰੇਡ ਨੇ ਅੱਜ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਆਫ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ ਮੈਲਨੀ ਜੋਲੀ ਨੇ ਆਉਣਾ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬਿਜ਼ਨੈਸਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਐਡਰੈਸ ਕਰਨਾ ਆ ਤੇ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੀ ਦੇਰ 'ਚ ਉਹ ਪਹੁੰਚਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਆ ਐਂਡ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲਾਈਵ ਸਟ੍ਰੀਮਿੰਗ ਵੀ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕਮੈਂਟ ਵੀ ਜਲਦੀ ਸੁਣਾਵਾਂਗੇ। CJ ਸਿੱਧੂ ਰਿਪੋਰਟਿੰਗ ਫਰਮ Surrey, British Columbia.
Thank you all. It's really a pleasure to see all of you today. Last time I was here, I played softball. There was a big tournament. It was a beautiful success. And also we went on that, well, actually Paul and I, my chief of staff, which is from British Columbia, we went on that beautiful pier that you've been advocating a lot for, Ernie. And it's great also to be back in Surrey. I know that the team and I worked a lot on the merger, the fusion of, yes, these two boards of trade. Thank you also to Ginny. We made it happen. It was a bit of, you know, it was a bit long, but you needed the right minister to make it happen. Okay, so I'm happy to be obviously with Gerbux, with Suk, with Jake and Ernie, and thank you Brenda, thank you Mike, and thank you Megan for being with us. Jocelyn, I know you've been working all night on super tough questions to ask me. I'll be ready. But I wanted to talk to you about what we're working on right now, and as your new Minister of Industry. And of course, we all know as business leaders, I used to be in business before, being in politics, that the strength of your country is completely linked on the strength of your economy. And so in that context, we want to make sure that we're building on that strength. We know that we're living in a world that is much more complicated, much more dangerous as well. I've seen it. I used to work much more on the diplomatic front of the trade tensions and working on the causes of them. And now I'm working much more on the economic front of it, which is basically the consequences of the trade tensions. And so we know that we can no longer count on necessarily stable allies or the respect of international rules. We know that in that context, we need to invest even more in us and invest more in our own country. And we need to continue to create economic growth. Why? Because it's our only way to make sure that we can maintain our very important social safety net, which is at the core of the promise of Canada. And that way, if we can continue to create economic growth, notwithstanding all the trade tensions, we know that we'll have something that is really, really important to safeguard, to protect, and it will be at the core of the fact that people will continue to trust each other, care for one another, which is so important to Canada. And so while there's so much uncertainty in the world, we know there are a lot of things we cannot control, but there are things we can control, and we'll focus on that. We'll make sure that we build one strong Canadian economy, and we also know that we have in this country, and trust me, at this point I've seen 75 different countries in the world, this country has everything that any country in the world would like to have. The right, indeed. Of course, the great people, the great talent, the natural resources, the energy, everything linked to tech, the education system and great universities, everything we need. And so, in that sense, since we know we can build Canada strong, we have this vision. Let's talk about the plan, how we will make that happen. It will be done through protect, create, and attract. So here's the plan. And of course, I'm a francophone, so let me just say that in French a second. So, on va faire en sorte de mettre l'accent sur le fait de protéger, de créer, et également d'attirer. And so, first pillar, we'll protect. Protect jobs, protect industries. Well, we will continue to deal with the relationship with the Americans. We will continue to be there for our people in the sectors that are being affected by unjustifiable tariffs. It's really, really important we be there. And we know which sectors are being really targeted. Of course here, the lumber sector, which is so important to BC. And there's also the steel, the aluminum, and also the auto sector, which is elsewhere in the country. And so what do we do? Well, short term, we'll make sure that we protect also their market. Middle term, we'll make sure that we invest in their operations in order for them to be able to adapt and pivot. When I say adapt and pivot, I mean pivoting towards new markets or also creating new products. And also, longer term, what do we want to do? We want to make sure we're creating a strong domestic market. We need to be able to have much more of our own Canadians buying our own products. And so we'll do that through Build Canada homes. Obviously for the lumber sector it's really important, but also through major projects and our investments in defense. And so I'll give you a couple of examples. On the steel sector, well, Algoma Steel, which is a really important plant in Ontario, which is the only one that is owned by Canadians of all the 4 steel plants in the country. Well, Algoma Steel, for the first time, got 2 months ago its order from Seaspan to buy steel from its plant. Before then, Seaspan in Vancouver was buying steel from elsewhere, actually from Asia. Didn't make sense. So our goal is to make sure that that is happening even more in the country. And that is saving jobs in Ontario, but it's a cooperation between BC and Ontario. And Irving, which is the other shipyard on the other side of the country in Halifax, did the same with Algoma. And so we want to make sure that we have more of that. Meanwhile, on the aluminum side, an important plant, which is an important company called Alouette, Q1 of this year was exporting 4% of its aluminum towards Europe. Q2, it was exporting 57% of its aluminum towards Europe. Before then, everything was going pretty much to the United States. So you see that it's possible to diversify. Now, on the lumber side, we know that things are tough. We've heard it. There's been trade tensions on the lumber front for a long time, but this crisis is a really big one. And it's affecting lots of people here and also across the country. So we're working with also the Premier. We had an important summit 2 weeks ago. I was in contact also with Canfor. I met with Susan Yurkovich yesterday. We're in solution mode. We're helping companies having access to much more support from the BDC. The Minister also of Natural Resources, Tim Hodgson, is working on that, obviously with the BC caucus, but we're on it, and we will be able to go through it. And so my message to those working in the sectors that are affected by the tariffs is we won't let you down. We will be there to fight for our workers, fight for our businesses, and fight for our industries. Donc on va être là pour notre monde parce que c'est extrêmement important d'y être. So I've talked to you about the first part of the plan, which is protect jobs, protect industries. Let's go to the second part of it, which is to create jobs and create careers. So I think we can do that through 3 different ways. So please follow me. The first way is through our new defense industrial strategy. And you know, I know there's been a buzz. Julie Brenda talked to me about it. It's an important vector of economic growth. So at this point, we will be investing 3.5% of our GDP in defense. Over the next 5 years, it's $80 billion over 5 years. So that's $16.5 billion per year in defense. That's a lot of money.
So, Minister Mélanie, Professor SIDHU, Sanjha TV,
Yes.
I'm a senior host there, very good friend of Mr. Sukhdaliwal
Yes.
and Mr. Saini. I worked together with them. Quick question is a
Yes.
very upbeat message.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming to Surrey.
Thank
It
you.
was so nice.
Thank you.
And I like that because there is a lot of negativity going on. And you bring a lot of good positive message that we need that.
Yes,
With
of
all the things happening in the world that you mentioned.
Yeah.
And it's a very appropriate that we bring a positive message.
Yes.
So having said that,
Yeah.
let's start with the question.
Yeah.
So first thing you mentioned is about the red tape.
Yeah.
It's a very important, you said
Yes,
you're
absolutely.
giving them, whatever the administration, other people, staffers, you're giving them about 60 days. So what is your plan?
So, a couple of things regarding what you just said. I really think that we're at a pivotal moment in our country's history. I really think also that while there are a lot of things happening in the world that we cannot control, we can control our own destiny. And while, you know, the US may become weaker, we will grow stronger. Now, to do that, we have to have the right plan and give us the means to make sure that that is happening. And definitely we need to do things faster and more efficient. And so that's why I've asked my team to make sure that within 60 days, no red tape within my department. We need our businesses to be able to have access to certainty, that when they apply to have access to a program, that the money can flow and that they know afterwards that they can invest in their business. And so it should not be complicated to do business with government. And it has become too complicated, so we're changing that.
That's good to hear. And Prime Minister was yesterday in Telus,
Yeah.
announced the other big projects. Now we have 12 big mega projects that
incredible.
happening. It's incredible that are happening in Canada. It's about time.
Yeah.
It took a long time to get to here.
Yeah.
My question is, Prime Minister is today speaking Board of Trade in Montreal.
Yeah.
Mr. Champagne is in Quebec,
Yeah.
talking about the same issue, and you are in Surrey.
here.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
We're glad you're here. And having said that, how fast-tracked these generational projects will be?
Well, we created an office, which is the major projects office. We've created it. We have a legislation also, which is the legislation C5, to make sure that we fast-track things. And we have a president, Don Farrell, who's very experienced. And so we have the right team, we have the right legislation, we have the right investments, and now it will be up to also the proponents that are building these projects to go faster. And we think that speed comes also with money, and we think that proponents will, you know, be able to go faster. So I was saying in my speech that already BC has 3 major projects, the province that has the most major projects of all the provinces. And so we'll be working with the different proponents to make it happen.
And Minister, I have a little different question,
Yes.
and I ask most of the cabinet ministers is, you know, we're such a capable country, and the
Yeah.
project, why don't we build a refinery in Canada?
Yeah, well, we do have refineries in Canada, but and they're, you know, mainly also in eastern Canada, and we have also a refinery here. But indeed, the business model for oil and gas has been for a long time sending oil towards the U.S. And I think that what we're looking at with major projects is really developing ourselves as an energy superpower. So we're investing in LNG, we're investing in hydro, we're investing also in wind power, nuclear. So I think it will be good because we want to make sure that we harness the energy that we have in the country.
And why don't we bring the big oil companies, like a private-public partnership, to have these mega projects? Because they get benefited equally as we go as a Canadian.
Well, Shell is LNG too, so Shell is in Kitimat, so that's an important project, but it's more LNG. For the rest, also, it's also a conversation to have with the Premier of Alberta, Madam Smith, and I know the Prime Minister and Premier Smith are in conversation.
Why Madam Smith and Mr. E.B. of British Columbia fighting with each other on?
Well, it's not up to me to answer that question. You should ask them.
That's a good answer. So my last question,
Yes.
Minister, is, you know, the Monday the budget will be tabled and
Yeah.
voted.
Yeah.
How confident you are that it will be passed? If not passed, are you ready for elections?
Yes, so first and foremost, we're confident in the budget. We think it's a good budget, and we think that the reaction across the country is very favorable. And we think that for any MP to vote against it is actually voting against building this country strong. So it's up to the opposition to decide whether they want an election or not.
Your final comments, Minister.
Well, I'm very happy to be here with Gerbucks, with Ernie, with Suk. It's a pleasure to be back also in Surrey. I'm very impressed by people here, by the projects I'm seeing, by the ambition also. So these folks know that they can count on me to make sure that we harness the great ambition here, and we will deliver and build also Surrey strong.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
MP Ernie Klassen from South Surrey White Rock. Minister gave a very upbeat message. What are your comments?
I have full confidence in our minister, in our Prime Minister. I 100% agree with everything that she has said. I do believe as well that we've got a great budget to bring and move Canada forward in the environment and in the political environment that we're living in today. So my comments would be that let's all get on board as Canadians to make Canada strong together.
And Mr. Klassen, Prime Minister Carney was at the pier. That was pretty exciting news. And what was his message?
His message, again, was, as the minister here just spoke about, that there is funding that is going to be going to the small communities or the smaller communities, and that the communities will have some discretion over some of the funds that have just been announced in the new budget to build communities strong again. So while we have these super projects, the big 12 now. There's also going to be a lot of projects coming forward across the country that are going to benefit the local community directly.
Thank you, Mr. Klassen.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, Jake, welcome to Sanjha TV, and you're a Member of Parliament from New West Burnaby, I guess, and newly elected Member of Parliament. What do you think of Minister's speech today?
Well, it was fantastic. It's great to see Minister Joly come over here once again here in British Columbia, here at Surrey White Rock Board of Trade. Yeah, I mean, it's an exciting time right now with the budget being tabled. Of course, it's a challenging time right now for Canada. We're facing major economic headwinds with disrupted trade relationships, and there's a lot that we need to do as a country to come together and focus on buying Canadian and also expanding our trade relationships with other countries. So, I think with these challenging times, it's good to think of it as an opportunity. How can we use this situation to actually invest in the long term of Canada? And I think that's what the budget is doing, and that was a few of the things that Minister Joly laid out today. So great to see her again. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Have a good day.
Yeah.
सैनी साहब आज अपने मिनिस्टर आए सी बड़ा वधिया उन्होंने बड़ा अपबीट मैसेज दिता है ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੀ ਖਿਆਲ ਹੈ
देखो अज तक असी यही कहते रहे कि ब्रिटिश कोलंबिया ਨੂੰ अपना हिस्सा नहीं मिलता साडी सरकार ने ਹੁਣ तक ਜਿਹੜੇ टोटल प्रोजेक्ट ਦਿੱਤੇ ਨੇ ਉਹ 12 ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ 3 ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਮੋਸਟ ਐਕਸਪੈਂਸਿਵ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਜੈਕਟ ਨੇ ਔਰ ਬ੍ਰਿਟਿਸ਼ ਕੋਲੰਬੀਆ ਵਿੱਚ ਨੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਬੜਾ ਮਾਣ ਆ ਲਿਬਰਲ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਤੇ ਮਾਰਕਾਨੀ ਤੇ ਜੋਲੀ ਮੈਲਨੀ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਲਈ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ
ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਸਰ ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਵੈਰੀ ਮਚ Hello, Mayor Locke. Today, Minister Joly came and gave a pretty upbeat message, and including Surrey in a lot of issues here. How you feel?
Well, I think it was great to hear from the minister today. I'm really pleased she came to Surrey. We know that Surrey is going to be the energy of this west coast for sure. If not Western Canada, is going to be the economic engine for British Columbia, but for certainly Canada. And I know that she recognizes that. I was pleased to hear how they are so in front of that budget, and though I know it was very much a tough budget, we're all going to be doing that. And I think I was pleased to see that as well. But, her enthusiasm about building Canada, about putting building our own resources, taking care of our own businesses, and making sure that Canada buys Canadian products. I think that's huge. She gave us some great messages about growth and how that's working, and some examples of Algoma Steel, which I think is hugely important. That C-SPAN here is buying from Algoma, keeping the jobs there and the jobs here going, and that's what we all need to do.
And then we need to hear there is a lot of negativity happening, but in this environment, we need more positive enforcement.
Yeah, we need not only positive dialogue, but we need that energy.
Action.
And boy, she has got that energy. She's the right person for that job, because you can just see her enthusiasm about building Canada back. And we know we can do it. We know Canada has. She's talked about it, not just as a beautiful city, but the natural resources that we have. We need to really make sure that we do well by this country.
Definitely. Thank you, Mayor Locke.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good day. Jocelyn is a CEO of Surrey White Rock Board of Trade. So the meeting today, Industry Minister Mélanie Joly gave a pretty upbeat message. What do you think?
I think that the federal government's 2025 budget is a smart one. We're looking at some good changes, and I do hope that it passes and that we can see it come to fruition.
And if you think the businesses with the investments, 3 big projects coming to British Columbia, everybody will be benefited.
There are trickle-down impacts of any big project. There will be businesses in Surrey and White Rock that benefit. We have the most manufacturers in British Columbia here in Surrey, and so those companies will benefit, as will all of the other industries. So yes, it's a great thing for British Columbia and for Surrey.
Thank you, Jocelyn.
Thank you so
Thank you very much. So ਅੱਜ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਕਿ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਮੈਲਨੀ ਜੋਲੀ ਨੇ ਬੜਾ ਹੀ ਅਪਬੀਟ ਮੈਸੇਜ ਅੱਜ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਆ। ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਜੈਕਟ ਲੀਕ ਰਹੇ ਆ, 3 ਵੱਡੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਜੈਕਟ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਨੇ ਲੀਕੇ ਆ, 3 ਬਿਗ ਪ੍ਰੋਜੈਕਟਸ ਦੇ ਆਰ ਕਮਿੰਗ ਟੂ ਬ੍ਰਿਟਿਸ਼ ਕੋਲੰਬੀਆ, ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਨਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਬਿਗੇਸਟ ਟਾਸਕ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ, ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਟੈਕਟਿੰਗ, ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟਿੰਗ ਜੌਬਸ ਐਂਡ ਅਟਰੈਕਟਿੰਗ। ਸੋ 3 ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਮੇਨ ਫੰਡਾਮੈਂਟਲਸ ਹੈ। ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਨਾਲ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਰੈਡ ਟੇਪ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਕੱਟ ਕੇ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਜੈਕਟ ਹੈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਫਾਸਟ ਟਰੈਕ ਕਰਕੇ ਸਟ੍ਰੀਮਲਾਈਨ ਕਰਕੇ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਵੱਧ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਪਹੁੰਚਾਇਆ ਜਾ ਸਕੇ। ਬਾਕੀ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬਜਟ ਹੈ ਪੇਸ਼ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਮੰਡੇ, ਉਸ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਕੀ ਓਪੀਨੀਅਨ ਹੈ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਇਟ ਇਜ਼ ਅ ਵੈਰੀ ਗੁੱਡ ਬਜਟ ਐਂਡ ਇਹ ਕੈਨੇਡੀਅਨਸ ਦੇ ਫਾਇਦੇ ਦਾ ਬਜਟ ਹੈ। ਜੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਨੌਕਡਾਊਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਕੈਨੇਡੀਅਨਸ ਦਾ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਕਰਨਗੇ। CJ ਸਿੱਧੂ ਰਿਪੋਰਟਿੰਗ ਫਰਮ ਸਰੀ, ਬ੍ਰਿਟਿਸ਼ ਕੋਲੰਬੀਆ।